Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor, and today we're talking about the holistic approach to gut health. So, if you have a pet who's experiencing ear infections, GI upset, sensitivities, chewing at their feet, they're itchy, hot spots, maybe you're dealing with some behavior issues, all of these could be related to a gut health concern. So if you're joining us live, make sure you drop a comment, a like, let me know if you're currently experiencing any of these gut health issues or other health problems with your pets, because this may actually be related to a gut health problem. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. I'm a holistic veterinarian who's on a mission to make sure that you feel empowered, supported, and confident as a pet parent that you're doing all you can to implement and have an amazing, beautiful, holistic lifestyle and life for your pets and also yourselves. So today's a huge topic, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into the ways that I approach gut health in my patients, for my pets, and even that we've approached it for my own husband. Because if you're new here, you may not have heard how I found holistic medicine or a holistic approach for pets. And it all began on the human side. So, my husband, about 9 years ago, was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, inflammatory bowel disease. And that was the wake up call that we had, where it was like, whoa, conventional medicine is broken. We don't have any solutions. We were like, it was hopeless. We were told there's nothing else you can do to find the root imbalance, the root cause of why something happened. Has anyone else here heard that? Like, there's nothing else you can do. Like, good luck. That doesn't work. And you've been completely shut down. And that's where we were 9 years ago. So, through this journey, which I view now as a blessing in disguise, we were able to go deep into the rabbit hole to find out what are these key factors, these key areas that we need to approach in order to truly heal the root imbalance, the cause for why we're seeing those symptoms. Those symptoms are things like ear infections, chewing at the paws, those hot spots, possibly even that behavior issue if you have a reactive pet. It could be due to, if you're seeing also too, like diarrhea, food sensitivities. These are all connected to gut health in some way. But what I find a lot of pet parents do, and you may be in this situation right now, what's the number one thing, the first thing that you do when you start thinking, okay, there might be a gut health issue? You usually change the diet, right? Has anyone here changed their pet's diet, hoping that, okay, that'll fix it? And here's the thing, and I'm seeing some people making comments. I love it, Sarah. I love you posting that. Here's the thing, it's not just about the gut. And so when we're talking about this amazing topic that's a huge passion of mine today, I want you to take a step back. It's about seeing the bigger picture, because I'm also seeing people posting, and I appreciate like sharing your personal experiences, like change the diet, didn't work. Maybe you added a probiotic, it didn't change anything. Or maybe you saw a slight improvement, and then all of a sudden, like weeks, maybe even months later, the symptoms returned, because there were other factors that played a part that are closely connected to gut health. So when we take that step back, this is where that true holistic approach is. Yes, diet is key. Food is medicine. Food is the foundation of health. That is a key component in order to fix the body, but it's also connected to other areas in the body. We know that at least 70% of the immune system lives in the gut. And also too, with that gut health, we need to look at, well, okay, what makes up digestion? What makes up gut health? Because it's not just about breaking down food. Very important, right? We need those vitamins, minerals, those nutrients. But if we forget about the microbiome, which there's so many research articles that are coming out in this newer field of research, we're going to miss something, Because if your pet has what we call a dysbiosis, so when we take a look at the microbiome, this is the area, the trillions of different microorganisms that are making up that gut, that microbiome, and this ecosystem that should be working together. And what can happen is this ecosystem is made up of bacteria, protozoa, fungi. And if we have this dysbiosis, this imbalance of the bacteria, the different types of protozoa, fungi, and they're not working well together, it can create more inflammation. So then what happens? Because we have this connection, so close connected to the immune system, remember 70%, if that gut's inflamed, it's not digesting properly, we're not producing vitamins and minerals, short chain fatty acids, these postbiotics that microbiome is key, essential for making to feed that gut lining, to provide those nutrients to other parts of the cell or to parts of the bodies and the cells that speak directly to the brain via the nervous system, we're going to have other imbalances. But also, too, if we already have an immune system issue where that immune system's not working as well as it should, we can also have an issue directly with the gut because of that close connection. And if we have a lot of stress, emotional health concerns, there's a lack of routine in our pets' lives. Maybe we have a lot of stress ourselves. Maybe that environment is full of toxins. That can directly create more inflammation, lead to leaky gut by itself alone. So I want you to see how it's not just about the food we're feeding. It's about the bigger picture. That is the true holistic approach that we have to take in order to treat these chronic health conditions or these gut health symptoms. So whether or not you're experiencing something with your pets, whether we're looking to treat an illness or we're looking to prevent disease, we have to take these approaches or else we're not going to fix the root imbalance. So some of the easy ways that I break this down for my clients, and this is something that we go through in depth in our Healthy Holistic Pet Blueprint program, because it's commonly missed. We commonly get it wrong. I've been there too, where I thought it was just the food. And when we start diving deeper into what are these other systems that are impacted, and we start healing and also being aware of how these can impact gut health, we get much different and much better results. So what we need to do, once again, take that step back. I want you to step away from what natural remedy can we use to heal the gut? Because essentially we're taking a conventional medicine, a reactive approach, but we're just using a natural remedy. And this is where we get like stuck. We get in trouble when we approach the body that way. Even if you're using a natural remedy, say like slippery elm. Yes, we want to use natural remedies to help soothe and calm down inflammation. Quality of life is very important. So we're using these tools alongside healing these systems. That is very key, very important. I'm going to rephrase that. When you're using natural remedies, so things like slippery elm, your licorice, say like leaky gut protocol, we're healing the symptoms, we're calming down inflammation, but we're also focusing on the key components of physical health, the gut health, that microbiome, the immune system, your emotional health, and environmental health, which is the big toxins, detox pathways. If we miss one of those key pillars, the foundation goes like this, and we don't get long-term healing results because we missed a root cause. We missed the root imbalance, and you're going to be stuck in that vicious hamster wheel, which is very, very important to like get out of. It's frustrating. It's expensive. It's not, you don't feel empowered. You feel hopeless. And these principles apply for all animals. Remember, this is where we came from, human side. It applies for dogs, cats, every species. All of these systems are interconnected. So usually I'm speaking to dog and cat parents. So if you're having a pet experiencing these health issues, these directly apply to them. So when we start looking at the frameworks that we need to be looking at, keeping in mind these bigger areas of pillars. In each of these pillars of health, I want you to be thinking about the 5 R's. The first R is one of the most important. And you may think like you've cleared it all out, but this is where when we start looking at the 5 pillars and applying the 5 R's to each of those pillars, and we journal about it and we write about it and we're aware of it, this is where the game changes. This is where your pets over time, it's a journey, remember, this is a journey. Takes a bit longer when we use that holistic approach versus giving a drug, right? Pill for every ill, but does it treat the root cause? Not usually. So, removal. Removal is the first R. If we're feeding foods, if we're feeding treats, if we're feeding medications, so say that have chemicals, have other flavorings that our pets might be sensitive to, we need to remove that. But it's not just what's going into your pet's mouth. It can also be related to their environment and their surroundings. So it's also important to remove the emotional stress if you can. Obviously, we can't get rid of everything, right? This is life. Like there are stressors, but how are you dealing with them? Do you have tools set up? Do you have the schedule or the frameworks in your own life to properly handle stress? Because if you don't, guess who's going to pick it right up? Your dogs and your cats. And this is not meant to create more anxiety or stress around that. It's meant to create awareness. When we become aware of what's happening and what can impact our health, then we're much more likely to fix it when it arises, or at least lessen the impact that it can have. So, do you have routines in place? Do your pets have, what about environmental enrichment? This is part of that physical health. Have we created these safe spaces that our pets can go, especially cats? Cats are huge energetic beings. So, this removal phase is where you want to start assessing physical health, the nutrition, treats, supplements, medications. That includes flea and tick products. That's a huge source of toxins that a lot of pet parents don't realize, a lot of veterinarians don't realize. So we also have to look at the environmental health too. What are the laundry products you're using, your cleaning products? Do you use Glade plugins? Are we using poor quality essential oils? Those are things that we can remove to lower the inflammation, the stress on the system. That is number one, because here's the flip side of this. If we don't remove the inflammatory ingredients, the inflammatory chemicals, the stress that is creating these issues, you're going to get stuck. You can change the diet all you want, but it's going to always keep that level of inflammation here. And we're on this spectrum of disease. We talked about this in our masterclass last week, talking about these 5 pillars. If you have not watched that masterclass, make sure that you go to our YouTube channel and watch that masterclass. If you're on Instagram, click the link in our bio. It's free. And I go through those 5 pillars: physical health, gut health, nutrition, immune health, emotional health, and environmental health. This is key. The removal phase has to happen, and it doesn't have to be all at once. But when we become aware, we can make those changes, and it helps dramatically so you don't stay stuck. So removal, first R of the 5. And look at removal in each of those 5 pillars. This is being recorded, so don't worry. You can go back and re-listen to this. And if you're not already subscribed, just FYI, to the Natural Pet Doctor, make sure you hit that subscribe and follow button so you can get notified when we go live for our weekly coffee talks. So removal. The next area we need to look at is, what do we need to replace? So once you've gone through the removal, then we're into replace. What foods do we need to replace? If we're feeding a kibble or highly processed diet, then we need to assess, okay, how can I improve this food? If you're like, I have no idea where to start, I'm brand new to this journey, don't worry, I got you covered. Just go to thenaturalpetdoctor.com, go to our natural pet care shop on our website, and you can download the free resource, the simple guide to optimizing your pet's food. We have lots of resources on how to transition, especially those cats that can be super picky, brands that we recommend, ingredients to look for in those diets on the ingredient list. That guide will help you to optimizing and improving their food. If you can't get away from those processed food diets completely, using superfoods. So we talk a lot about that in our webinars, so make sure you check those out, okay? So we need to replace. Big area here is nutrition, but also too, what else can we replace? Once again, each of these R's, you need to be going through those 5 pillars. And so replacing, okay, what else do we need to replace? Maybe we need to support the body with digestive enzymes, especially for feeding a processed food diet. How can we support our pets to break down this food, those proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, so that they can better absorb them and get those vitamins, those minerals, those nutrients, those phytonutrients, those antioxidants that are important for every aspect of the body running optimally. The other area too, this is where possibly probiotics, but if we have done some testing, if you haven't listened to my talks with Innovative Pet Lab about gut health testing, they're all on our YouTube channel. Once again, Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor, they're free. Make sure you check those out because we have a lot of great functional medicine tests that you can order from the comfort of your home to check what's going on. So some of these tests will indicate, do we have an immune system issue? Do we have a lower immune system status? Do we have inflammation in the gut? Do we react to gluten, which is high in a lot of these processed food diets? Knowing that will help guide you on how to optimize the food that you're feeding and make sure that we're avoiding some of these like chemicals or toxins that can be in a lot of these preventatives that we give every single month. And if you know your pet's reacting to these, once again, removal, but we can replace it using nutraceuticals, using supplements to fill in the gap. We can also replace a stressful environment with more stress-free tools. So especially if you have cats, we got 3 black cats running around here. We've had to up our game with environmental enrichment. So things like ripple rugs, making sure that they have their spaces. We have cat towers. We have places down low. We have enrichment for them. We play with them. We engage with them. We put down herb gardens so they can self-select herbs that they need. These are very important things. So if we're not getting enough physical activity in for our pets, especially our dogs, they're not going for walks, we're seeing behavior issues, we need to replace that, right? We can add in exercise. So I hope you see kind of how I take these simple principles, these frameworks, right? And I apply them to the pillars. And this is something that every single pet parent here can do. It's just sitting back and assessing, journaling about it, and where can I improve? Where can I tweak? Where can I adjust in my pet's lifestyle, in their diet, with the supplements? Because it's not always about giving them all the supplements. A lot of times we end up over supplementing, which is really expensive. We can also create harm by over supplementing. And a lot of times our pets don't need that. They might not just need an adjustment in their emotional health pillar, which is free. It is usually our time and it benefits our emotional health too, which benefits the entire ecosystem. So we've talked about remove, replace, re-inoculate. So this comes down to using tests like animal biome. What's going on with that microbiome? A lot of pets are lacking diversity with their bacterial strains. That's a huge problem. If we're not having the right bacteria, the right amounts of the good bacteria, we're going to have a harder time producing those vitamins, those minerals, those hormones, those postbiotics, those short chain fatty acids, secondary bile acids to help, bind these toxins and remove them, to provide the amino acids from the diet, because we've properly broken it down, that then now can support the different phases of detoxification. If your pet can't detoxify, this happens every day, all day long, where do those toxins go? We live in a toxic world. In our master class last week, we talked about over 85,000 toxins we're exposed to in a year. That's a lot, right? Every day. And each one of our environments are different. So I have tons of neighbors, our town sprays, which just sucks, right? I can't control what other people do. But by knowing what's going on around me, I become more aware. So I can support my pet's detox pathways and my own much more appropriately to help our bodies eliminate those toxins we're coming into contact with. This is why it's so important to remove the things that we can remove that create inflammation. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time healing these gut health issues, which are also correlated to skin issues and behavior issues, kidney disease, heart disease. It all comes down to inflammation. And we need these systems operating properly. So we need those detox pathways open. And it's not just about using milk thistle. That's a common mistake that a lot of pet parents have when they start thinking about detox. They put their pets on milk thistle, which can be a really strong detox. And we haven't opened up the elimination pathways, that stool, the kidney function, those receptors in that liver cell need to be open and binding and bringing those toxins out of the body. And if things are backed up, it's like a clogged toilet. It's going to overflow. And where do those toxins go? They go back out into the bloodstream. They circulate around. They can make your pet even more itchy. So that itchiness you're seeing may not be a true allergy. It could be due to a clogged up detox system. Crazy, right? Like we always think itchiness is like yeast, but there's other factors that create these problems. And that's why the 5 pillars are so important. They seem really simple, but when we start dialing them in and understanding that bigger picture of how they're all interconnected, it then makes it easier to start making those tweaks and adjustments to change what we're doing so we heal the root cause. We're not just treating a symptom anymore. Because if it's, let's say if it is, we think it's an allergy and we're using things like Apoquel or Cytopoint injections, it's not doing a dang thing for the root imbalance, and you're going to stay stuck, and you're going to spend a lot of money going back and forth to the vet clinic, especially on those types of medications, and potentially creating long-term harm because we're suppressing the immune system long-term. So this is why these are so essential in taking that step back. So we've talked about removal, replace, re-inoculate. The next phase is the next part of the framework is repair. So when we talk about gut health, we think about, okay, well, the gut lining's probably inflamed. We need to repair the microbiome. We need to repair digestion. We need to make sure that the stomach acid is low enough, because if we're feeding a processed food diet like kibble, a lot of times that stomach acid is too high and it's not allowing the activation of digestive enzymes and from the pancreas. And we're not digesting the food and breaking it down appropriately. So we want to make sure we're feeding those foods, we're repairing the digestion process so we can properly activate these essential components of digestion, of gut health, which then leads to better downstream systems. The immune health is working more proper, it's working better. There's less inflammation. We are going to less likely have things like neuroinflammation or brain on fire because we're not having that talk between the microbiome with all this inflammatory mediators being made, traveling up the vagus nerve and stimulating that brain and causing inflammation. So we want to look at things. This is where some of these supplements come in, where we want to heal the gut lining using slippery elm, using prebiotics, making sure that we have a good food source. Now, this is where you can use some superfoods. I love adding medicinal mushrooms. It supports the immune system. It's providing a prebiotic, so a food source for the beneficial bacteria. Cats eat mushrooms. I just had one of our Blueprint members talk this past week during our weekly Q&As together. She was talking about how she's tried cooking some mushrooms, just button mushrooms from the store, chop them up finely, cooked them in a little bit of grass-fed butter. You can also use ghee. And her cats wanted to eat the entire pan. So cats can also benefit from these things using superfoods like, sardines, using colostrum to help provide nice natural immunoglobulins, those immune cells that are essential for that gut lining and supporting the immune system. So now we can repair the body with whole foods, but also supplements too. I love Diane. My cat Diego goes crazy for mushrooms. Like, we can't discount cats. We could just offer it, see what they do, and go from there. Start with a small amount. What's great here is you can eat them yourself. Start with a small amount. If they like it, great. Let's save that. We can add it into their meals and mix it up, which is fantastic. So, looking at these areas, once again, how do we repair? Repair is not just about the gut health and the gut lining. Remember, all 5 R's should be applied to those 5 pillars of health. So if you just joined us, those 5 pillars of health are going to be physical health, your gut health, nutrition, your immune health, your emotional health, and your environmental health. So we also want to be repairing detox pathways. This is a common area that leads to a lot of inflammation, a lot of health problems, digestive issues, allergies, itchiness, just chronic inflammation, because we're just not taught it very well in vet school, to be honest. And as I've dived deeper into this area, it's opened an entire world of healing for my patients, because we need to look at it as more of phases of detox. It's not just the liver. There's other components. Once again, it's about the holistic approach. When I say holistic, it's with a W, whole body approach, whole ecosystem approach. Is everything in our environment connected and internally? And so when we start opening up these pathways, so for example, does anyone here have a cat with constipation issue? So where they poop maybe once every few days? I want you to think about that cat that's not eliminating properly. And then I want you to think about, well, what's happening internally? So physiology wise. So when we think about the detox pathways, we know that the liver is going to be processing a lot of these toxins. We know that it needs certain amino acids, it needs certain chemicals, certain enzymes to cleave these toxins. So that way they can be processed through phase 1, and then they can go through phase 2 and be turned into a water soluble toxin to then be excreted out through the kidneys or through the gut. Now, a lot of the toxins are going to go out through the gut. And the way they do this is they actually go through with the bile through the gallbladder and then get dumped into the stool, into the small intestine, go out through the large intestine and out of the body. The bile is actually holding 80% of the toxins of the body. So I want you to think about this cat example where this cat's constipated. And if we're dumping bile with 80% of the body's processed toxins into the stool, and it's moving very, very slow, what's going to happen? Well, what's going to happen is those toxins are actually going to get reabsorbed back through the portal vein through what we call enterohepatic recirculation. All I want you to know from this process is toxins can be recirculated back to the liver where they have to be processed again. So if things are getting backed up and the body is naturally processing or trying to process toxins in phase 1, phase 2 in the liver, and they're getting pumped out, but things aren't moving, we're putting more toxins back into the liver. If your pet already has a chronic health condition or has increased inflammation, it's already working harder. If we're already putting in chemicals and toxins, we're using monthly flea and tick preventatives, the environment is full of toxins, that is a lot for the body to process. It's going to be stored. We see this in things like fatty lipomas. That's a sign that things are not processing well. We have a backed up detox pathway. So this is where, when we're repairing, we can use things like binders. A lot of people hear about like activated charcoal, and it's a great binder, but it binds everything. So we don't want to use that when we're, with food and with supplements or medications, because it can bind to it because it's so good at binding these things. But humic and fulvic acid are great natural binders. They're very gentle. So just for good general detox and repairing, it can be a great starting place for a lot of dogs and cats to help open up that third phase, that elimination phase, start repairing the body and healing it. So to summarize, because you're probably like, okay, that was a lot of info, right? So make sure you go back and rewatch this because it is being recorded. However, I want you to think about the bigger picture. Like, what are these 5 pillars of health? Remember, physical health, your gut health, nutrition, your immune health, your emotional health, and your environmental health. Those are the 5 pillars I want you to think about every time you're thinking of changing diet, you're looking at adding a new supplement, you're looking at changing something. How does this positively influence and impact my dog and cat's health? We shouldn't be using something just to use it. We need to proactively be thinking about how does it impact, what are my end goals, and how is this going to influence overall health? And then we take one step further and we look at the 5 R's, and where we look at removal, I'm always like, which ones are we on? Removal, your replace, your re-inoculate, your repair. The last one is reset. Resetting is the emotional health side, resetting detoxification. So these are all very similar. They work very well together. That is your true holistic approach to helping gut health issues, helping allergy issues, helping generalized disease, symptoms in general, to make sure that we're not missing a root imbalance and that we're actually healing the true cause of why you saw the symptoms in the first place. If you want further guidance and support and help, make sure you watch our free masterclass on how to find the root cause. You can go to the link in our bio on Instagram. I'll drop a link in the comments section. You can go to thenaturalpetdoctor.com. If you're needing more guidance, support, and help to figure out what those root imbalances are, to start feeling confident and supported and empowered again, schedule a call with us to learn more about our Lifetime Blueprint program. This is exactly what we go through. We teach you how to do this and empower you to be able to look at these areas of health for your pets so you don't miss something, so you don't stay stuck going back and forth to the vet clinic for the same problem, spending all this money and not really getting anywhere and ending up feeling more hopeless. I've been there. That was the beginning of my journey 9 years ago. And there's a much better path forward that leaves us feeling so much more confident. You don't need to feel stuck. That's the thing. There's frameworks we can use to help our pets. So I hope you found this helpful, and make sure you join us next week for our next weekly coffee talk with the doc. If you need guidance and some specific recommendations for food, make sure you download that simple guide to optimizing your pet's food. There's a link in our bio and Instagram, or you can just go to thenaturalpetdoctor.com and go to our natural pet care shop. It is free. It is a free download. It covers both dogs and cats. I love you guys. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for just being awesome pet parents, asking questions, asking for more, asking for better for your pets, and wanting to treat the root imbalance and knowing that we can do better with the healthcare system that we currently have. You are all amazing, and I appreciate you all so much. And I will see you guys next week, same time, same place. I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the Natural Pet Doctor. Take care.